Hi, it's Nikki from ChangeFrame here, and I'm taking the opportunity to share with you some specific examples where ChangeFrame has been used by people to have a really wonderfully positive impact on their life. So in this conversation, I want to talk about Annie. So Annie was early 50s, children approaching adulthood, so more or less young adults, divorced, but really wanting to welcome a relationship into her life. So Annie came to ChangeFrame with that as the real why around starting a relationship. It was very relationship focused in the first instance. So what we did before we really moved through in detail what it was Annie was looking for, we really just spent some time on that real why. What is it really about that was important for Annie? So if we remove the relationship component of that, what was it? And for Annie, it was really about just being in a place where she's comfortable with herself and able to relate to people, men or women, in a way that is non-threatening, and also just focusing on creating the life and the space the best life and space that she could to be in the best position to welcome a relationship into her life. So it kind of became two components to it. So there was the work on the actual, herself and her concept around relationships and relating to people and men. But then there was also, the acknowledgement that for a relationship to really flourish and thrive in your life, particularly if you've been single for some time, there are going to be things that are going to stop. There are going to be aspects of your life that will have to be relinquished or compromised to make time and space for this relationship. So it's no good saying you want a relationship in your life if you spend every day from morning till night going to work, running here, going to the gym, visiting friends, out to dinner, doing this, doing that, and you're not prepared to let that go. So there were sort of two sides of the coin that we were looking at for Annie. And we actually approached them as two separate, changes that she was looking to achieve. So one around balance and actually creating a life where there was the space for a relationship to grow. But then we also spent time looking at historically Annie's approach to relationships and interacting with people and how she actually could look to do that more effectively. So again, we just went through the standard reflecting forwards. So Annie seeing herself on the other side of this change. What did it look and feel like? What was different? What had stopped? What had started? And then starting to break that down into the specific actions that Annie needed to take. There was a fair bit of reality checking of some of these things, as there can often tend to be when it comes to relationships and perspectives on life and how relationships fit into life. Sometimes we are the product of our environment, of our parents, and we don't even realize we've taken on board a bunch of beliefs that may not necessarily be true for us. So there was some real value in actually going through and looking at some of the assumptions underpinning the behaviours that Annie was noticing and actually questioning those and really stripping it back. So in that process, Annie was able to see for herself where there were patterns that had emerged, and in being aware of those patterns, she was then able to actually do something about them. So that brought us to the action plan stage with Annie. So again, we had our two focus areas, one around life and balance and opening up space for a relationship to thrive, and then the actual exploration of relationships and how to really move forward into a romantic relationship in a healthy way. Annie had noticed a bit of a pattern of not so healthy relationships in the past, and she was really determined to change this. So as with all of these situations, what we're looking at is a lifetime of habits and beliefs that are really deeply embedded in how we do what we do. So for Annie, this process is an ongoing one, as change is for everybody. Change doesn't happen overnight. We don't make one little turn here and then that's the direction we go forever. We can waver. We can come back to fall back into old patterns, relapse to old beliefs and assumptions. So it is a constant journey of being vigilant, particularly the more deep-seated the beliefs and behaviours and patterns are that you're looking to change, the more vigilant you will need to be. And for Annie, the other thing I would stress for Annie in her journey was around being kind to herself. So simply having a realisation, coming up with a plan or a strategy for responding in a certain way in a certain situation is great. But acknowledge there will be times when you fall back to that old way of thinking and that old way of doing. Just take time to notice, be grateful that you notice, and pat yourself on the back that you did notice, because that in itself is progress. And over time, Annie was also able to see that the time between when the old belief or behavior crept in and when she noticed it, that time became shorter. So again, it's just this iterative process of moving yourself towards the change that you want to achieve and being kind to yourself on the journey. So if you're in that situation in your life and you're wondering why things haven't worked for you in the past, but you really want a relationship, have a look at my website, nikkiingram.com. There's the free ebook there when you sign up for the newsletters and updates. If you're really keen, I'd love for you to roll up your sleeves and come and join me at a workshop. The details all on the website, nikkiingram.com. Thanks for your time, and I'll see you soon.